Welcome to the Badadoom 118 Cobra channel.
Recapping G.I.Joe Real American Hero number 39, Walk Through the Jungle, Marvel Comics, cover date, September 1985 by Larry Hama. Rod Wiggum's the artist. Rescue mission in Sierra Gordo. A Joe team, led by Stalker, undergoes a dangerous mission to free Dr. Adele Burkhardt, a brilliant scientist held in a jungle bunker by insurgents. They're aided by the Tucaros, who end up dying. The Joes storm the bunker, engage in a firefight, and extract Burkhardt. To escape, they improvise a two-stand rope bridge across a chasm. The two cars provide cover fire, allowing the Joes to get Burkhardt into safety. Storm Shadow and Billy train together in ways of the ninja. During the street confrontation, Billy learns Storm Shadow's philosophy. The Joes interrogate Candy Apple, Ricard's girlfriend, suspecting her father of Cobra ties, adding to the twist of the ongoing Joe versus Cobra conflict. Now to the main event. If you prefer just to read the full comic, feel free to mute me. Comic book number 40, Hydrofoil. Wild Bill and Airborne transport the new transportable air sea base from New Orleans into the Gulf of Mexico, where it's anchored to the wreckage of an old drilling platform. I do really like the art in this comic, but it is quite questionable whether or not two helicopters could lift the tactical battle platform. The green and black water almost foreshadow the mystery of what could be underneath them. Indeed, we'll find out there is a lot under there. Cobra Commander monitors the Joe's deployment from underwater. Keeping true to the toy, Duke informs us that there are hooks on the battle platform to lift it up. Similarly to the cartoon, Shipwreck appears to be a problematic character, pushing Wakanda and asking to be called by his code name. Wild Bill and Airborne successfully raise the tactical battle platform out of the water towards the Gulf of Mexico. Cobra monitors this from the submarine. Cobra Commander, a much more likable and less bumbling fool in the comic book, plans a trap for the Joes in the Gulf of Mexico. In an unusual and rare moment of caring, Zartan mentions that he doesn't like Tomax and Zaymot being used as bait, but in fact the Cobra Crimson Guard does take responsibility for that. The text implies that the Crimson Guard is aware of the plan, but that Zartan doesn't know about all of it yet, in its typical mercenary fashion. The huge, heavily armored submarine with Cobra symbols on it makes its way to its next destination to trap the Joes. What a great toy that would have made. The Dragonflies lower the tactical battle platform onto a flotation device that was never sold as a toy. Larry Hama seems to spend a lot of time having Duke give instructions on how to secure the tactical battle platform. This is perhaps not the most entertaining part of the comic, but there's toys to sell. That being said, I do like the underwater art, with Torpedo working from underneath. The Crimson Guard, Professor Apple, appears to have kept his double life completely hidden. General Hawk continues to interrogate Candy Apple, who starts to make comments about Gumbo, perhaps getting frustrated, while Spirit Iron Knife and Mutt escort Buzzer to a secure location. There's a nice bit of writing here as Buzzer starts to get sarcastic and mocks Mutt. He takes it to the next level when he starts to flirt with Candy. Buzzer does not seem too worried. General Hawk receives a message from General Austin, who apparently is his superior, telling him that he has to hand over Buzzer to the military police who have jurisdiction in the area. This is an interesting twist of fate for the Dreadnought. Similarly, as Candy Apple has not actually been convicted of a crime, he has to release them into the military police custody as well. Never heard anyone refer to a woman as a sweet potato, but that is quite a nice touch. The story then shifts to the underground base, the Arb Coast Star, where Cobra Commander is in his large submarine entered the base through a blown out area. We are then introduced to the hydrofoil pilots, the Lampreys, who impress Cobra Commander with their uniform, which seems to be a different color than the toy. Shipwreck's character development seems to differ from the comic in that he is chastising the Joes for not working hard enough rather than being lazy. Notice that the artist has an accurate representation of the missiles on the tactical battle platform. Shipwreck is immediately contradicted by Cutter, who is told that everything is set up. Apparently, Shipwreck is not informed that Barbecue is underneath a hatch because he impulsively pulls out a firearm and points it at him. This is highly unusual. I've never been a fan of Shipwreck, but this situation no doubt shows the patience of the other Joes, who probably should have cleaned his clock at this point. As Buzzer mocks the Joes, there's an interesting lesson here about constitutional freedom and how good characters have to play by the rules. Candy, who is no doubt upset, wants to have absolutely nothing to do with Buzzer's passes. Professor Buzzer is inadvertently helped by Candy as the guard flinches and Buzzer proceeds to strangle the MP. He steps on the brakes and the other MP flies out the window. Wear your seatbelt, kids. At the Cobra base, we see an indication of the type of rank a Cobra Crimson Guard can have, as Apple explains the plan in place whereby the bunker is situated on a fault line and that the hydrofoils are in a position to be deployed. This is a stark contrast from the cartoon, which tend to present the Crimson Guards in a similar way as the Cobra soldiers. But in this case, we see Professor Apple has actually concocted the plan. And the plan is a sinister one, as he is obviously a professor of some kind of science, such as physics. And this device which he activates kills marine life, which is quite a destructive measure. This is also unusual because it prompts the superiors of the Joes to use a nuclear device, which obviously would kill a whole lot more marine life than that too. Nevertheless, I do like this piece of writing, and I am always intrigued by the stories that have Cobra executing one of their terror plots. Perhaps the best part of this is it's an extension of the Staten Island escape by Tomax and Zaymont. It is also fairly evident that Cobra is confident in the structural integrity of their base underwater, as they seem to have the plan of absorbing some kind of massive blast, whether that be nuclear or not, in order to start an earthquake. The next phase of Crimson Guard Professor Apple's plan takes place with the surprise deploying of collector favorite water vehicle, the Cobra hydrofoil moray, which runs circles around the hydrofoil and then proceeds to make mincemeat out of the tactical battle platform. The Joes somehow do not sustain casualties as they aim into open spaces, hoping the hydrofoils will run into their ammo. We get a nice display of some of the ordnance that's on the hydrofoil and the type of damage it can do in a short time. I do really like this introduction and aspect of the comic, but I, however, am not a fan of some of the ideas that take place next, such as the deploying of the shark from out of the hydrofoil and some of the unorthodox measures that the Joes take in order to stop the hydrofoil. And we get to the scene where the Joes, in this case Deep Six, actually discovers the location of the base and looks into ways of destroying it. Professor Apple, Cobra Commander, and Zartan seem to be quite amused by the fact that the Joes have no idea what to do about their plan. That must be quite a bunker. Again, totally overwhelmed, Roadblock fires into open spaces. Doc points out that Snowjob and Ripcord have been hit in what looks like a fatal rocket fire, but apparently that is not the case. I'm not quite sure what to think about Barbecue being a little bit cheeky about ripping the base apart, but it's time for Shipwreck to get even. Shipwreck is one angry sailor. Nobody's going to touch his tactical battle platform and get away with it. In kind of an unusual situation, nobody attacks Deep Six as he attempts to provide some kind of report for the whale as it drops its depth charges onto the base. This does absolutely nothing and leads to the next step, which is using a larger weapon. Again, I'm not exactly sure how a tactical nuke will save the marine life in the area, but that's for Uncle Sam to figure out, isn't it? Our author wants us to think that the lampreys have become sloppy, and now a winch is a good weapon against a hydrofoil. In this case, barbecue hooks the hydrofoil, and that leads to a collision. Ace and another Joe at the USS Flag are extremely hesitant to want to put this tactical nuke onto the Sky Striker. And why wouldn't they be? Neither of them have any experience with it and know the implications. The hydrofoil, in fact, crashes into the tactical battle platform, and Barbecue boards the ship with a giant axe, which is a pretty cool look. Duke and Doc make a few calculations and determine that there's a payload that's equivalent to a nuke without the radiation, and in fact radio to the USS Flag to make sure that that gets implemented. Again, at the tactical battle platform, it is assumed that the hydrofoil has slowed down, and that allows shipwreck to jump aboard the moving hydrofoil, not something that's normally a very good idea, and crack lampreys over the head. Again, Doc saves the day with a couple of brainy calculations. And in order to match the kilowattage of the tactical nuke, they in fact have to deploy every single plane on the USS Flag full of bombs. And that is what they do. A pretty cool looking shot of the Sky Striker all loaded up. The Joes in the whales begin to get restless and also do not suspect that Cobra is not attacking them, even though they're above their bunker. Tripwire throws the flare and bombs away. The equivalent of a nuke is out and into the water. Apparently there are no geologists involved in this particular scenario because Cobra has calculated for any type of destructive force that will affect the fault lines. Doc explains that time-delayed fuses are used to have the bombs all go off at the same time, which was quite a quick calculation there before they loaded them. But I do like the creativity in this particular scene, as well as lampreys getting dragged. It's an underwater earthquake. Professor Crimson Guard Apple has done it. They've blown up the fault line. And we won't find out why that's a good thing for Cobra until the next issue. Overall, I really like this issue a lot. Tune in for number 41.
Badadoom, 118 Cobra, channel